Okay. So welcome to this week's Fearless Man, basically our live call. Happens every week at 6 p.m. If you haven't marked it down on your calendar, make sure to mark it down for next week. I want to dive right into the call. This week we're doing, it's kind of a unique one because we're in the middle of the Fearless Man's family gathering. We do this about once a quarter for graduates. Everybody say hi to the camera. For graduates of a program. Anybody that's taking a live workshop from us can come on down to this, and we get different people every time, and whoever's in the area comes down, and we've been going all day since 10 a.m. The last one of these went till about 2 a.m. So we're taking a quick break. We're going to talk about something that's been coming up a lot today in the talk. So this is kind of unique. These gatherings are unique in that the students do most of the teaching. This is the first time I've really been up talking today. And that's because the students are sharing all their successes. Each one of these students in here has a lot of successes, a lot of growth, a lot of changes that are happening in their lives. And it's super powerful and super motivating to hear about everything everybody else is going through, their changes, their difficulties, their challenges, how they're changing, how they're growing. And when you see the commonalities, it has this way of helping you to kind of realize you're not the only one going through this, and it kind of breaks you free and helps you to grow. So that's why people really love these events. And they also love hearing about everybody's successes. Wow, that guy started where I started, but look what he's done. Look what he's done with some serious commitment and consistency. And then we hear about the principles that really really changed each person's life. So one of the things that keeps coming up today is failure and rejection. There's this sense that everybody today that's really been talking, that's really had immense growth, really came to this realization that relaxing under tension during failure and rejection is really the key to success. Getting really comfortable when things go wrong and just saying, I surrender. Whatever happens, happens. I'll let it go. And instead of beating themselves up. But what most students do when they come in the door, what I used to do, what a lot of the students do, and all of them that are sharing said they used to do in the past, is whenever they would get rejected or a failure would happen or they screwed something up, there was a sense of beating themselves up. And then they start to wake up to the fact that they beat themselves up, and then they start beating themselves up for beating themselves up rather than just stopping. And it's this weird like monster that happens inside of us. And the moment you stop that and you start a practice of seeing that, you know what, I screwed that up, can I just relax into it and let it go? And you actually really do it and you start to get happy, there's this huge shift that happens in your life. Growth starts to happen so much faster. And when you reach this point where you get rejected by a girl, a beautiful girl, a girl you're really attracted to, and you can just surrender it, like one of our students was talking about so beautifully earlier today, it's really powerful for your growth. And you'll be surprised how more women just start showing up in your life. Maybe it won't happen with that one. Maybe it happens with the next one. Maybe you handle her rejection so well, you're so calm, you're so happy, you're so free that she gets interested. She gets curious. Like, who is this guy that every time I reject is unfazed? He actually is happy. He's actually still having fun, whether I accept him or reject him. And suddenly she gets curious. Then she gets a little more curious. Then she gets a little more curious. Or some woman that saw you handle rejection so well gets curious and she starts to show interest. It's kind of almost magical what happens when you get this right. So what we want to do today is I talked a little bit about it, but what I really want to do is let some of the students that have had a lot of success in this area talk about it. I want to bring them up to share their experiences. So the first one I want to bring up is a student that was a student a long time ago, and he's been killing it. He took right off. He's been killing it. He's got his own successful program. He may talk about that. But he's going to come up and share his experiences. He's now in a relationship. But the amount of growth this man has made in his life has been nothing short of astounding. And he's amazing with women now. Absolutely, he's had more women than he can handle, and he's really decided he really wanted a serious relationship. So that's where he's at now. So I'm going to bring up, do you want me to talk anything about your career or no?
We can talk about poker a little bit. But
Okay. Well, Jamison is an amazing poker player, and you're now a poker coach, right? Come on up.
Here and there, yeah.
Come on up. So he coaches poker players now, so that's what he's gotten into. And so go ahead and share about what's your take on rejection and failure in this area, because you've become really good at handling these things.
Yeah, and I would say definitely it's been progressively better for me in terms of women. It's something that I've been able to handle a lot easier as I went through the Fearless program. But I would say that just being able to detach yourself from the rejection in terms of what it does to you in terms of your self-worth and self-identity. I think a lot of people, a lot of guys, when they get rejected, the reason why they can't grow from it is because they take that as like a hit to their self-worth, and they're just like, you know what, like this affects me as a value as like a man, and from that they don't really learn anything from it. They just kind of like feel like shit about themselves, when in reality it's all just one kind of big lesson, or one lesson after another, and you can either choose to view that rejection in the light of, okay, I can learn something from this and grow from it, and the next interaction will be better, or you can just keep this, I don't know, continuous like broken record going of, oh, I'm just going to do the same thing and kind of manifest that reality of, oh yeah, I'm kind of a piece of shit and look at her, she rejected me, or you look at it as like her having the issues and just being like, oh, well, screw girls, like they just don't get me, I don't need them. And also the biggest thing is rejection is never really rejection. And there's been so many instances where I've had a girl tell me no. I've had a girl just be like, no, like I'm in a relationship, or just like lies about her interest or whatever, and she's like, no, I'm not going to talk to you tonight or whatever. There's even been some girls who've just been like, yeah, there's a 0% chance I'm making out with you tonight, and then before you know it, we're like sleeping together.
And if you had gotten frustrated or mad, what would happen?
Yeah, then I would have blown the whole thing out of the water.
Yeah, it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and that would be it.
So how many times have you met a girl or a woman that I'm thinking of the ones that you've actually been with, that you've dated or gone on dates with. How many of those women rejected you on some level first, pushed you back, pushed you away?
Well, the current girl that I'm seeing, she rejected me the most probably out of all of them.
Yeah.
And she rejected me over and over again, constantly, and because we're in the same friend group or whatever. So, yeah, but it was something that like, I didn't really take that personally.
How did you handle it when she rejected you?
I was just very grounded. I was like, okay. Like, she even asked me, she's like, at one point she was like, honestly, what are the chances do you think of us, like, do you think the chances are of us hooking up? And I didn't really have like a percentage, but I just had to give her an answer. I was like, I don't know, like 50-50. And she like just starts cracking up, and I was like, why? What did you put it at? She goes, 0. And I was like, okay. And then by the time it came around where we finally like hooked up, I was like, so how's that 0% chance looking?
And so going back to the original question, out of all the women, you've dated a lot of women since you came here. Mm-hmm. And would you say all of them on some level pushed you away, kind of rejected you, in a sense tested you?
Yeah.
We talk about testing. Along the way to deciding they wanted to date you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like you just you actually relax. You take it. You don't take it personal. You don't make it mean anything, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is learning how women are emotionally, and how, because like we don't see it as guys, girls get hit on all the time, especially if you're a pretty girl at a bar. Like, you're gonna get hit on all the time, so they have to have their guard up. Like, they're not going to just let any guy in, and that's where the tests come from. And once you learn that, and once you really like believe that, then any rejection you hear from a girl, any resistance that you hear from a girl, whether it be out on a date, whether it be going back to your apartment or whatever, and the things that happen before sex or whatever, like, you realize that this is all just part of the human evolution, like how women have to approach it and be safe. They need a man that they know they can trust and is going to be secure and take care of them. And once you realize all that stuff, you're like, oh, these rejections aren't rejections. I mean, sure, there's plenty. They're just rejections of guys that they feel aren't worthy enough to be with them until they pass those tests.
Yeah, until they pass those. And I've noticed there's a girl who's got like, if you were walking down the street and you walk up to a girl and say hi, there's a girl who's typically got a real serious rejection, and there's the girl who's kind of like well, I don't know, I'm rejecting you for right now. There's almost a tonal difference or an attitude difference. Mm-hmm. Do you recognize that difference when it's there?
Yeah, and so like you never really know which side you're gonna get in any typical interaction. But yeah, there's some that are just completely like not having it at that time of day, and you're just like, okay, like.
And I've had those even turn around sometimes. So or you come back later and it turns around. Depends on what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Time of day.
And then there's some that are a lot more receptive, that give you permission quicker, and those are easier. What I did notice is that as I had more success and my standards grew a lot, like you realize that the higher quality women out there, they will test you a lot more.
Yeah.
Because they, like either A, they're getting hit on a lot more, and so they're very picky, or just B, in general, they have a lot of confidence, and so they're not going to just open up to any.
Well, if
any
their
guy that comes up to
confidence
them.
here, they want a guy that's confidence is somewhere right around here, so they have to test at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Especially with so many guys approaching these days, with all the dating coaching and stuff. But how many of those guys that actually approach are truly relaxed, confident, comfortable in their bodies?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody once said, I don't remember who it was, maybe it might even be David D'Angelo, but it might be somebody else, that women get hit on a lot, attractive women get hit on a lot, but not very well, or not often very well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big difference.
Yeah, and I remember you were saying something about how it was some beautiful girl that you were talking to who said that guys don't. She's like, guys don't hit on me at the bar. Or guys don't. I can't meet any men or whatever. Guys, and you were just like, no, you're just not meeting any men that you like.
Right. I said, when men are approaching you, what you're saying is men are approaching you, just no men that you're attracted to. She goes, well, yeah. But she almost discounted those guys.
Yeah.
Like they don't exist. Like they're just kind of, yeah, whatever. And it's kind of rude in a weird sort of way, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it for guys. And how many of you guys out there, and I bet there's a lot of you, you don't see it, just like this girl didn't see it, but how many, and the guys in the room for the same thing. You say you can't, some of you might say, oh, I can't get laid regular, it's hard to get laid. But what if you just looked at how picky you are and said, is there a girl out there, out of all the women in the world, if you just dropped all standards altogether, you could get laid by? And how long would it take if you dropped all your standards? And honestly, a lot of you, it would be very quick. Not that you should do that, but that's what the women go through. They're saying, well, if I drop down to here, sure I can get guys. That's what you think. You think she's got all these options. Mm-hmm. But her options with the more confident guys are actually pretty slim.
Yeah, and I also think too, a big part of rejection, it stems a lot further than just like the one-on-one. Like it's at a bar, if you're talking, or anywhere, like if you're talking to a girl and say you're vibing or whatever, and then she turns around and starts talking to another guy or like smiling with another guy, and it's like, how are you going to handle that?
Yeah.
Like, are you solid and confident enough in yourself to just be like, yeah, she'll be back, if not, no worries, or like, you're just like, if she wants to go for this guy over me, like that's fine, but I know how awesome I am as a dude, and I'll just find the next one. Or are you just gonna like freak out and be like, oh my god, she's talking to this fucking guy, like who's this asshole, like fuck her, like this is bullshit, I'm out of here.
Those are the guys that spend the next half hour talking to their friend about what a bitch this chick is.
Yeah.
Instead of going and just meeting another girl right away.
Yeah.
And,
or I mean, there's been so many times where that similar situation has happened, where you're just in that situation, and the girl, because she's a pretty girl, she's gonna talk to other guys, like this type of environment you're in, and she'll go off with another guy and maybe like start flirting with or something, and then I just kind of ground it out, and if the connection is good, then she'll just come back.
I remember years ago, I met this girl. I was working for another company at the time. I didn't have my own company. I was out teaching, and we got off at midnight for whatever reason at that place because the bars went all night. So they said, oh, you're off at midnight. So I was coaching this guy. We met this girl. He kept running away from her, so it didn't work out. So after midnight, I ended up talking to her, and it was going really well. And I was like, I'm just going to hang out with this chick for the night. So I grabbed her hand. I started taking her to another part of the bar, and I was going to take her to this quieter part and get to know her a little better. As I'm walking, I feel her stop suddenly like this. And I'm like, what's that? And I turn around and I look, and it's another student who's with another coach talking to her. Grabbed her as I was walking by, and she stopped. And so I said, So I yanked a little bit, and she pulled back, so I let her hand go. And I said, well, I can't interrupt this because it's another student, so I don't want to be a dick. I said, but there is one thing I can do right now, is I'm just going to let it go, let him have fun. If he gets her, he can have her, because I don't want to interrupt that. But I'm going to go flirt with these girls. Mm-hmm. So I walked immediately away, let her go, and I started flirting with these other, there were 3 Polish girls because we were in England. And they started giggling and laughing, and then I suddenly turn around, and she's standing right here, staring right at me, and waiting for me to grab it. And so I grabbed her hand again. She started squeezing it. So I was like, okay, ladies, I'll see you later. Just wandered off. And the faster you let go, the less personal you take it, the more confident and more attractive you appear. The quicker everything recovers.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to a larger point too in any aspect of attracting women, is that in terms of approaches and everything, there's the letting go. There's not not figuratively and literally like holding on to them for dear life and trying not to lose them. And the same thing goes for like relationships.
Yeah.
You know, there was plenty of situations where the girl I'm seeing now, like, we weren't exclusive or anything, and she was going out on Tinder dates or whatever, and like part of me like freaked out a little bit. I was like, fuck, like what if she meets like some awesome dude or whatever, and they have a really good connection, blah blah blah. And then I was just like, you know what, like, good luck with that. Like, I mean, I beg you to find a guy better than me on Tinder, and if that's the case, then more power to him. Like, congratulations, and I'll be on my way. But that's kind of what I've developed within myself, to be able to kind of let go of that and just be like, yeah, like, I know my worth as a man. Like, I know my truth, and whatever happens, I'm not gonna have any resentment towards the girl. It's just how it is, and then I move on. And
now she's your girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to thank you. I'm going to bring Anthony up, but what I want to know is, do you have a website or anything you want to plug?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have a website.
Is there any way they can get a hold of you if somebody wants to learn about poker?
Yeah, you can just message me on Facebook, I guess.
Okay.
Jamison Singer. So.
Singer.
Yeah, and you can find me on some poker sites.
Okay, so just look for this face. Remember this face, and you can.
This Jew face.
There you go. I'm not saying that. I'm kidding. He can say that. So, okay. Well, thank you for coming up.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah, he plays in the World Series of Poker, does all that stuff. So he's a really good poker player. That's how he makes his living. Not just coaching. He makes his living actually playing. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check him out. And so the next person I want to bring up, silence your phone, guys. The next person I want to bring up is Anthony. And Anthony's been a student for, I don't know how long you were a student for, but this guy showed up at everything. So he was here constantly assisting, helping. He's basically been helping coach and everything since he's taken off. Now, you were way behind the 8 ball when you started. You were like super, like we called you Stony a lot because you looked stoned all the time, even though he wasn't on drugs at all. His eyes looked stoned. He was really quiet. He'd mumble a lot. He wouldn't look a girl straight on. And now you are the epitome of the opposite of all of that when you're out flirting. We'll be walking with him just the other day, like a few days ago, walking with him, turn around, and he's over there talking to a girl wandering down the street. He's changed so much, it's incredible. But that goes to his level of commitment. He shows up, he does the work, and he works hard. So let's talk about this idea of rejection.
Okay.
Because you were talking about it earlier today a lot. You were talking about getting rejected, like walking down the beach, and all these little realizations you were having during the rejection. And do you remember that?
Yeah, totally.
And like the girl saying, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was really brilliant. Do you remember what you were talking about?
Not specifically right now, no.
Okay, well, you were talking about walking down the beach, and you kept getting rejected. You were talking about how you had like, how many Insta dates did you have in one day?
Yeah, probably about 5 of them.
You had 5 Insta dates in how many hours?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 hours.
Just meeting girls down by the beach in Santa Monica.
Yeah, totally.
So you see what he does in Santa. You can probably find him in Santa Monica very easily.
Yeah.
So 5 Insta dates, and how many of those girls were on some level kind of rejecting you or pushing you away, but at the same time maybe not? How many of them rejected you hard, and how much of that did you take personal, and how much of that did you just let go? I mean, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I would say it was pretty good. I mean, I would say to a degree, all of them were rejecting me in a way, but I wasn't tuning into it essentially, like, because I already knew, like, when you approach a girl, you automatically almost have to go through that test, and so knowing that, I kind of was just like prepared for it pretty much. So when you approach them, it's kind of like they want to know what you're there for and why you're approaching them. And, it's like, hey, you're beautiful.
Oh, and that was the thing you talked about. You said there's this moment, and I think this is brilliant because I say it, but I think the way you said it was good. There's this moment when you approach them and it gets really weird and awkward.
Oh yeah. Right.
And you said, and a lot of people take that as rejection.
Yeah, it's that what the fuck look.
The what the fuck.
Like
That's how he put it. The what the fuck look.
It's like, why are you here? Like say something, like, what's your reason for being here? Why are you stopping me?
Okay.
And if you're in your truth and you have something to say, which is like, you're sexy as hell. This is why I stopped you. And
would it, Cairo, is it better if he talks that way and talks to the audience?
Yeah,
Talk to the audience. Tell them.
Keep your voice up so the mic can pick you up.
Okay, so he's talking about the what the fuck look. Keep going.
Yeah, so like that what the fuck look, it's like...
He's new to the camera, so we're getting him used to it.
Yeah. It's so weird. Yeah. like, you got to be non-reactive to that, essentially. Like, if you're walking up and you have your truth and you have your reason for being there, then you shouldn't be worried about what to say. Like, what you have to say is already there, and that's your reason for approaching her. Whether she's beautiful, she's sexy, and what she's wearing, you go up and you tell her why you're there. You tell her you're sexy.
So the moment you walk up and say, you're sexy, or you're beautiful, and they give you that what the fuck look, and the old you would have been, fuck, I did something wrong, right?
Totally.
Okay. What does the new you do?
Yeah, it just sits there and waits for her response because I want to,
But how do you feel inside? Like, she's giving you that look,
solid.
and instead of feeling weird, how do you feel? Tell them that.
Solid and grounded, like totally solid in my body. Because when you do that, you're already turned on when you go over there. So essentially, you're still in that turn on when that happens.
So being in the turn on means?
Yeah, it's just like feeling inside of your body, like
feeling aroused, feeling excited,
aroused.
feeling passionate, feeling
that's what
for her, and letting
Feeling
it,
your balls.
and not hiding it.
Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
okay, keep going.
Forgive me, I'm shy a little bit, but yeah, like feeling your balls, and when you're in that and you tell her that, it almost automatically kind of pulls a response from her that's not a negative one. It's almost like, oh, thank you, or she doesn't know how to take it, but it's not. It's how you perceive the response, and usually she'll be like, oh, okay, thank you, and you can choose to accept that as a negative response, or you can choose to just be like, okay, cool, she received it, and then so like say, cool, what's up, where are you from, or whatever comes next, you know what I mean, or you just guide it like, hey, you got a couple of minutes to talk, and then you go from there. And what I found in that, as long as you're leading and you're not uncertain in your leadership skills, and it goes pretty well. That's how I was able to get all those insta dates. It was
So basically, you would go from the what the fuck look to I'm going to stay relaxed even if you got the what the fuck look.
Yeah, it's all
and then she relaxes because you're demonstrating you're masculine by being grounding and staying solid under this awkward moment, this pressure. Yeah. And then as she relaxes, you create a nice conversation. Then you start walking with her and chatting with her. Yeah, and then about 5 minutes, 10 minutes of walking with her, you end up sitting somewhere and getting a coffee with her.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I'm walking down the promenade with her or anywhere random, just kind of finding out more about her, and she's asking me questions too. So I'm noticing these indicators of interest that are kind of like cool. So
he used a pickup term.
Yeah, that's what I know it to be. But it's for her, her to show that she's actually.
Well, you're just noticing she was interested in you.
Yeah, and it's not just me talking, just chatting off, and she's just like listening to me, not saying anything. So you got to allow yourself.
She's investing and talking to you and getting to know you, and she's showing some interest in you. Good.
Yeah, totally. So
like a human being would if they were interested. So I don't always like the pickup term. It's just me. Good. I like talking like they're human beings, right? Because women are human beings, right? And so we want to connect with human beings, and we need to be human. So
so create rapport.
Yeah, connecting rapport. So and then it goes from there. And then is there anything else you can think of that could help them? Because you used to beat yourself up a lot, right?
Yeah, totally.
And how did you get over this beating yourself up and get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go?
Just realizing that it's a part of the process. Like, they don't know you, you don't know them, so naturally it has to kind of be awkward at first. I mean, it's just the way it is.
What if it's a solid rejection? I don't have time, or don't bother me, or I don't like you, or whatever, and she just walks off.
So then you just don't take it personal. It's not you, it's them.
And how did you get to that point where, because the old you would have been, and so, even the last time you were with us in Europe, I saw most of the time you were fine, but there were 2 times you got really upset. And now you're pretty much letting them all go. You're just like, okay, move on to the next. So talk to somebody else, right?
Yeah. I think it's essentially about being solid with yourself, like knowing yourself.
Okay.
And just being like, okay, I know that wasn't my shit. That's not my shit. That's her shit.
Yeah.
So you gotta let her have her. You gotta let her have her shit. She doesn't want to talk to you. She doesn't have to talk to you.
Yeah.
And not beat yourself over it, because it's like you said, you're just offering something. You're telling her she's beautiful.
And you're totally genuinely giving a gift, right?
Yeah, totally.
You're genuinely giving, and you talked about that, by the way. But genuinely giving the gift and not asking for anything in return. If something comes, it's great. I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna really enjoy it. But if not, I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's saying it and then not expecting the outcome, but just like whatever comes, and I'm just gonna accept it.
Yeah.
So whether she rejects you or she's just like, oh, okay, cool, and then it's that pause where you're kind of like, okay, she's still here, so like, we got a couple minutes.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, you two are walking and talking and hanging out, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you want to say to the audience that you think they need to hear right now? It's just coming up in your mind, anything that you want to talk about in this area?
Let's see what I've learned in this last couple of days doing it. Just really don't feed into the negative chatter that's in your head that's telling you don't do this, or because of this I shouldn't be doing this, or this and this. It's just your negative self-talk. You got to kind of just get past that, because what's on the other side of that I've always found is just massive growth and massive gains. So every time I've been out there and I've started feeling guilty about being out there and approaching girls, I'll sit it out and I'll just be like, you know what, just cut that off. 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I'm approaching more girls. The next thing you know, I'm walking down the street with a girl and I'm making out with her. Like,
so I'm curious, where does the guilt come from?
Stories.
You feel guilty like you're doing something bad, or?
Yeah. I feel like, yeah.
And all you're doing is walking up and telling girls they look beautiful, pretty. You're not being an asshole.
Yeah, nah. I mean, because
or sexy or whatever.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's part of it.
And most of them receive it well and are really happy you did it, right?
Yeah,
even if they don't have time to talk to you.
Yeah.
And yet he's feeling guilty. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you got stories about preying on girls. Like,
that's
you've seen a ton of them. They're hot, and it's like I feel bad for sitting here just looking at them and then just picking one out that goes off to.
Yeah.
Like there's a guilt that comes with that. You know what I mean? So
you're being honest and real.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys try to hit on these girls without being honest and real. Yeah. They try to hide their attraction, hide their turn on, act like they want something else, and the girls all know what's going on.
Yeah, totally.
And do you ever get any girls telling you it's refreshing that you're really honest and direct?
Yeah, I had a girl the other day who was from the UK, and she was like, this is the girl I told her she was really sexy because she had like a bikini on, and I was like, you're really fucking sexy. She received it well, and as we're walking along the path, she's like guys in London, they're not as direct with girls. Like, they got to be drunk to do it. It's like, you guys in America are really direct, and I was just like, and so she liked it. She obviously enjoyed it and wished we were doing it more, or guys were doing it more in general. So that just shows you that girls actually do want to be approached.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I appreciate your coming up.
Yeah,
and that was really cool. Thank you. And I'm going to have you go ahead and grab a seat. Do we have more time or no, Kyra?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. So what I want to do really quick, why are you're not raising your hand? Okay. So what I want to do, I saw somebody was raising their hand over here. So what I want to do really quick is, did you want to say anything really quick, Nick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, come on up.
Right.
So this is Nick, and the reason I brought Nick up is he was talking today, and he had the same experience as the other two. As he was talking a lot about, he used to super react. I mean, he's a handsome guy, right? But he used to have a lot of trouble getting girls because he was so reactive and so upset every time the girl gave him even the slightest hint of not being interested. And then he would self-reject because he'd freak out. And then he'd be, and so when I first started working with him, he was really getting upset all the time because he felt rejected all the time. He was really super robotic back then. He's let a lot of that go. I noticed today that was super impressive was he was almost the opposite now. When a girl gives you a hard time, rejects you, or you're not sure how something's going to go, and you start to feel that, you were talking about how you feel the anxiety rising in your body.
Yeah, just building up.
And then you go, okay, can I just let that go? And then you relax, and I'll just see what happens. And then a lot of times, as you let it go, it turns around, right? Mm-hmm. Or something changes. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah.
And then talk to the camera there, the guys up there.
Right. So, yeah, like he was saying, I used to just try to control everything, just be really analytical. And what really helped me was when I started to get enough rejections, I just got to a point where I asked myself, you know what, can I just flirt with them, make them feel good for 1 second, and then be okay if I never see them again? And it started to build over time, because basically what I used to think was, if I got a girl feeling good, then that's the only girl I'm ever going to have that kind of connection with. I got to hold on to it. But then the more casual I got about making women feel good, just sharing my truth, making them feel feminine, the easier and easier it got to just keep letting it go. And really, it's like when I start to actually get success with women, like kissing them, spending nights with them, going on dates with them, when I already had that feeling of abundance, it became exponentially easier to let them go, because what I would do was, if I was with a girl who she was kind of interested, but then there was a chance that she might take it back, I just remind myself, well, I already had all these experiences with other women. This really isn't no big deal. So, yeah, I mean, if she doesn't want to continue with it, then that's fine. Like, I'll just enjoy it for what it was and let it go. And the crazy thing is that women, because they're so in touch with feeling people, like themselves, men, and just everything, they could kind of feel that relaxation of me just like it's like they could actually hear my voice going, oh, it's okay if I don't I don't get sex from this woman, I'm just gonna enjoy her. And
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, exactly.
It's like they can hear your voice. How did you say it? Say it one more time.
So they could hear a voice, like they could literally hear my voice going, you know what, it's okay if I don't have sex with this woman, I'm just gonna enjoy her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay if I don't have sex with this woman, I'm just going to enjoy her. Or I'm just going to enjoy you.
Yeah.
And that's, I can see where that would, that changes everything. Mm-hmm. But you have to actually mean it. You have to feel it in your body. It's not just something you say in your head. And whereas a lot of guys are in their heads, when they do that from their heads, their body actually almost probably reacts in reverse from being in your head. When you actually can feel some of your body, which we've been working a lot on, and you say something like that, you feel this, what do you feel in your body? Like total relaxation?
Yeah, it's like, it's this feeling of openness, expansion, like this gentle warmth just radiating down through it. It feels pretty good. Like, it doesn't have to be in specific, but when you feel it, you just feel really good in your body.
Nice. And that feeling, have you noticed how that feeling translates to her? Mm-hmm. Almost instantly, doesn't it? It seems like it's like a radio signal that goes bam.
Yeah.
And then she feels something different. So awesome. Okay, is there any other tips in this area you want to give the guys about being able to ground themselves out in this area? Like, can you give, like, you kind of described it, but what could they do at home, from your perspective, something you've used, that they could take and start using right away, maybe to help them just improve in this area a little bit or a lot, wherever you're at? What's a technique or a thing you're using personally?
Right. So the biggest piece of advice that I have to offer is that the only reason why you're getting nervous or high in your body is because there's this disconnect. And basically what that disconnect comes from is that part of you wants the women, but there's the other part of you that doesn't want the women. But most of us, we don't want to acknowledge that part of us that doesn't want it. You know, we kind of suppress it down, and we're acknowledging the part of us that wants it. But then we get like all these like nervous tics and weird sensations in our body. Well, that's the result of the other part that we haven't acknowledged. So what you got to do is you got to start meditating, getting really honest with yourself so you can start feeling why is it that you don't want the women you want. So then you can start allowing the emotions to come up and let them go. And then in doing that, you'll start to see like literally like it's not going to be an instant process because it's going to take time, but with less and less effort, you're going to start seeing better results from women. So yeah, just start.
And how long should that process take, in your experience?
You know, it really varies. For me.
Yeah, how long did it take for you?
Yeah, for me, the process, it's a process I'm still going through, but
to see some results, how long did it take you?
I'd say like a month.
Okay,
yeah.
That's not bad, a month. And then one more thing, there's a part of you that doesn't want the women.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but for a lot of guys out there, they may not, they're sitting there right now going, no, there's no part of me that doesn't want the women.
Yeah.
And if we were to look at that a little deeper, and I look at that a little deeper, there's a part of their ego or subconscious that perceives women as pain or responsibility or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's the part of them that I see as not wanting women. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, because pretty much the way I even became conscious of that part of me was that when I was meditating, I would just think of the idea of me being with a beautiful woman, and for a second it feel good, but then all of a sudden I'd have all this tension in my body, like this just contraction.
And that's the part of your body rejecting the woman.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like that we tend to create this illusion that, oh, the women are difficult, the women test too much, or we need to have money or status to get the women. But it's really just an illusion, because that's actually you trying to rationalize the heaviness you're feeling inside of yourself when you're trying to pursue those women. So instead of fighting against obstacles that you're creating in the real world, just get honest with yourself, let go of the emotions behind it, and just let life take its course, because it's like you always say, we're naturally built to attract women.
Yes, we are. And if you're not attracting women and you're male, most likely you're rejecting them in some way. Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming up. I might have you come back up in a sec. I want to take a couple questions, and if somebody has a question for you or Anthony, Jamison's gone, we'll go ahead and have you come back up and answer it. Okay?
Definitely.
Good.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you, bud. So for the last few minutes, is there any questions that we've got? Nothing coming in?
Not right now.
Okay. Okay. If we don't have questions, do you you want to cut the questions off? Usually by now we have people popping like crazy. Okay. So we're just gonna end this call today because we got to get back to the seminar. Then, in that case, we got a lot of people here waiting for the next speaker, and they see me speak all the time, so they're probably ready to see somebody else. I hope you guys had a great, enjoyed this call. I hope you got a lot out of it. Make sure to comment in the video. Make sure to subscribe, and remember to check out the Fearless Man Live. It's happening here in Los Angeles, not this weekend, but next weekend. And if you go to the link in the video, you'll be able to check out the events page for that and get signed up. It's a hell of a deal for what you get. It's going to be in Santa Monica. It's going to be by the beach. There's going to be tons of beautiful women down by the beach. We're going to have our models at the workshop. We're going to be demonstrating live all the subtle ways we hold tension in our body, like we talked about today, how we reject ourselves or how we unground when a woman rejects us. And we're going to be doing demos on stage. We're going to be using live students for that. It's an opportunity for me and the staff to see exactly what's going on inside of you and help you get through your stuff, because talking about it through questions and on camera is one thing, but to see you in person is the most powerful thing we can do. And if you want real change like these guys, and you really want to create abundance in this area, get out to this live event. It's currently, what is it right now, 197? It's 197, and that's a steal for this. So check out the event now, hit the link, and make sure to subscribe, make sure to comment, and remember, only the confident really live. See you in the next video.